Welcome back to the Thanksgiving Tournament Expert Division qualifying round, hole number 3. Here we're going to be playing a sniper bounce up shot for the Albatross using a Kingmaker. The adjustment for the drive is P3 plus 10% max. We're using 3.5 top spin, 1 left spin. We're setting up at P3 max rest. APOC 5 and 6, you'll have the red ring touching the rough. APOC 7 is 2/3 of the blue ring in the left rough, and then APOC 8 is 1/3 of the blue ring in the rough on the left. And that's all at P3 max rest. Adjust P3 plus 10% max, no push up. Even if you pull into overpower, don't use it here. And we are using just before circle drop overpower, 3.5 top spin, 1 left spin. So it's full APOC 5 left curl. But if you have 6, 7, or 8, you'll need to pay attention to the little triangle here. You want your center line to be running through, the tip of the triangle. In this general area. That way you have the same amount of curl. Right? And then play it just before circle drop OP. A lot of different wind angles here. There's some hard crosswind that you'll come up a little bit shorter. And then there's a way more tailwind angle that'll run you a little bit longer, right around closer to 388 to 390. And then, the shorter ones, you'll end up closer to 380. You can still get it no matter which rollout you get, so long as you don't roll long and in the rough, which is important. Don't want to pull any O1 on the drive, and make sure you're not adding extra overpower to this one. So for the sniper shot, we're going to play backspin and try and catch the little funnel behind the hole and come back down the hill. It is a bit finicky of a shot. No matter which way you approach this shot, because it's mostly crosswind and the amount of tailwind varies dramatically, that changes how the shot plays quite a bit, right? For the approach shot. So sometimes you'll get more tailwind. You'll need to add more underpower and maybe even some left curl, depending on how you set it up. If you're set up higher in your plus yards, if you get the short roll out, you'll need to add like 0.2 to the adjustment. If you're set up in the low end of the plus yards, you'll just play the standard P3 plus 10, which is what we're playing on the approach. And the offset also varies depending on wind strength, right? So a lot of variables to consider to get this drop consistently, because it's the qualifying round. This is a very safe eagle with a good chance at a drop. If you practice this a few times, you should be able to work out, the type of offset you need for your style of play. We're using 3 backspin, 2.1 left spin. And what I'm doing is I'm setting up with the blue ring, touching or very close to touching the fairway fringe line on the top. I mean the green fringe line. And the tip of the ball guide is what I'm looking at. So basically I've got two points that I'm focusing on here when I'm setting up this approach shot. I want my blue, so it's hard to see right here, but the green fringe line runs like this. You want your blue ring touching it or really close to it, and then the tip of the ball guide. There's one dark column just next to the pin. the second dark column left of the pin, or if you're looking at number of lines, you got 1, 2, 3 lines left of the pin. And what I'm looking for here is basically with a low wind in the 7s, you probably want to put the tip of the ball guide just about right where you see it now, which is about 1/3 of a square into this row. So the row is from here to here. And if you got higher winds, you want to move it over a little bit. And if you get king winds, you want to move it over a little bit more, right? At least that's what I've been doing. Then you also got wind angles to consider here for this approach shot. You want to pull this one straight, favoring a slight 1159 flicker. You don't want to make sure you're not pulling this with any 1201. If you pull this with 1201, you're most likely going to roll long, clip the fringe on the top of the green, and stay right there on the top. And we don't want that to happen, right? We want that ball to roll back down the hill. So I'm playing this with 2 to 3 clicks of underpower, teeth underpower for this wind angle. But there's definitely, this is the more crosswind angle. If you're looking at these trees in the background, I'm left of this tree over here. That's my crosswind angle. But when you get the tailwind angle, you're going to be more pointing towards these bushes over here. If you're pointing more towards these bushes, my personal recommendation is to add a couple of clicks more of underpower. So instead of just touching the teeth underpower, go a click or two into the teeth. And also, we're not going to get as much wind push to the left, so you're most likely going to miss it right. So when I'm getting this tailwind angle over here in these bushes, I am adding a little bit of left curl as well, about half the teeth left curl. Of course, that depends on your wind strength, right? If you're getting low winds, you probably need half the teeth right about. If you got really high winds, you probably just need about, 2 clicks into the teeth left curl. But that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of variables. Depends on how bad you want this one. You can throw a couple of practice tokens at it, get a feel for it. They're not very difficult tweaks, but it's gonna need tweaks nonetheless to get the drop consistently. All right. But nevertheless, safe shot here with a good chance at the albatross. I definitely recommend practicing it a couple times. Make sure your drives are going the correct distance. Make sure that your offset is good for the approach here. And like I said, I am using teeth underpower no matter what wind angle, 2 to 3 clicks. And that's basically crosswind. If I get the tailwind angle, I'm going to add a couple more clicks of underpower to that. Also, the crosswind angle, I gave you the offsets that I'm doing. I'm doing like 1/3 of a square into that square, and then like half into that square, and then like 2/3 into that square, depending on wind strength, right? Low winds, I'm only going to be 1/3 into the dark row. Medium level winds, I'm going to be like halfway into the dark row. And then high level winds, a little bit further. Actually, I'm sorry, that's backwards. It's the other way around, right? Higher winds, you'll be a little bit closer to the hole, and the lower winds, you'll be a little bit further from the hole, right? Because it's less wind push. Either way, P3 plus 10% at slider, using P3 plus yards most of the time. You're either going to be in plus yards or just below the plus yards. For me, and my drives have been generally leaving me 1 to 2 rings below plus yards. It's 2.5% per ring below the plus yards. So what I do is I'll just find, I'll push up until I find the +1. and then I'll see how many rings my blue ring is off of the green fringe line when I push it up. So you'll see that here in a second. So because when I go to the, you see right there, I am one ring above the green fringe line. That's what I'm talking about. So normally, see, the blue ring is one ring. My red ring is touching right now. And I'm at the +0, right? So that means I'm one ring short of the 0. Because I'm going to move it down one ring until the blue ring is here instead of the red ring. So that's an easy way to tell how many rings short of the plus yards you are. And it's 2.5% per ring short, right? The 0 is 70, plus 1 is 72, plus 2 is 75, 3 is 77, 4 is 80, plus 5 is 82, 6 is 85, 7 is 87, 8 is 90, 9 is 92, plus 10 is 95, 11 is 97, and 12 is 100. If you're one ring short, you'll play at 67. 2 rings short plays 65. 3 rings short plays 63. 4 rings short plays 60% slider. That ought to get you where you need to go. Practice it a couple times, and it'll give you a much better chance at the drop. So you can get to test your offsets, test your pull angles, make sure you're not coming in too hot. If anything, I would favor more 59 than 01, and I would favor more underpower than less. In other words, I'd rather have 1 click extra underpower than 1 click too much power. We don't want to clip that fringe on the top and stay stuck up there. Good luck, everyone. I hope you all get the drop, and we'll catch you on the next one.